Here's what I want to have happen. I want to tell you something about the position and our culture and what it's like to work here that makes you say, I don't want to be there. I want you to save me the time because it is expensive to hire people. The first question you have to ask yourself, how do you want your money to perform? The rich invest their money and the poor spend their money. There are simple things that you can do that set you up for success. Interview number 2. From there, what we do is we test the applicant's skills. And usually this comes in this second interview. Sometimes it comes post the interview. So after the interview, we'll have them go take a little test, or we'll have them do something depending on what the position is. And after that second interview as well, we send them to take an online DISC personality profile test. It takes about 10 minutes to complete roughly, and it gives me a great insight into this person and how are they wired. So DISC is broken into 4 quadrants. It's D, I, S, and C. Dominance, influence, kind of what's called a supporter role, and then a conscientious or attention to detail. D-I-S-C. And so on the top, the D and the I's, those are your extroverts. Those are the people that, man, they're extrovert. They're out there. They're outgoing. Can you imagine whether I'm an extrovert or an S and a C below the line, introvert? Okay. The D's are the dominant drivers. The I's are the influencers. They're the party in the room. The S's are the supporters. They're always looking to get behind somebody that they can support and help the cause. And the conscientious, the C's, are attentive to the details, and they want to do it right, and they've got black and white processes to follow. So if you understand you've got these different things, D people ask when. Ask my team. I'm a high D. Like, I ping the D all the way to the top and then I just drop off. So I'm a D and I ask the question, when? When will it be done? Don't tell me how, don't tell me who, don't tell me why, just tell me when it's going to be done. That's all I need to know. I's ask the question of who's going to do it? Because they're people. Right? D's are task people and I's are people. And so you've got your extroverts, your D's and your I's, and then you've got your task oriented and you've got your people oriented. The S's ask how. How should I do it? Because they want to be supportive. They want to do it the way you want them to do it. They really are concerned about doing it right for you. And so they're an introvert that is people-oriented. They care about what people think. And then the C's are introverted, but they're task-oriented. And their question is why? Why am I doing this? They want to know the details of why. So when, who, how, and why. And so you've got your extroverts and your introverts, your task-oriented and your people-oriented, and then your grouping of questions. So once you understand these basic frameworks and you give an applicant a DISC test and that DISC test comes back and people are blends and mixes of these different characteristics and there's multiple profiles across the DISC test, you look at it and you can say, oh, that makes sense. Okay, this person is heavily extroverted and here's their question. And then I typically buy a report that's about a 30-page report that tells me, how does this person think? Okay. In a sales role, you want somebody, sales specific, you want somebody that is a high D. Period, end of story. They've got to be a high D. Now, they can kind of balance across some of the others, but D needs to be high on the scale, and it needs to be one of the their highest traits for sales. Because here's what happens if you don't have a dominant person in sales. They won't close the deal. They won't drive it to the finish line. Everybody might like them, but they won't get it across the finish line and get the sale done. And so in sales, you're looking for a high D. Like now for an executive assistant, you're looking for an S and a C, right? And so the second higher, executive assistant, you're looking for somebody that's more of a blend of these things. Okay, you want an executive assistant that'll get the things done, the D. They got to have that D component, but it doesn't need to be at the top of the list. It can be somewhere in the middle of the chart. The I, they need to be a people person because they're interacting with people on your behalf all the time. They need to be a supporter, right? They've got to support you in your goal, and they need to be attentive to detail because they got to do it right. The third interview is, once again, an in-person interview. We bring them back in again. Now we talk about their applicant test. We talk about their DISC test. And we ask a lot of questions. We get their feedback on what they thought of this process. We ask them what questions, concerns, fears have come up about thinking about this position. We ask them if they think that they can handle the position, right? We're having all of these conversations that are really all about us just getting to know them. Now, this is where we also, in this third interview, we start to share more and more and more details about the position, because here's what I want to have happen. I want to tell you something about the position and our culture and what it's like to work here that makes you say, I don't want to be there. I want you to save me the time, because it is expensive to hire people in opportunity cost, effort, energy, not always financially. It's not always expensive to hire someone financially. It's expensive to hire someone emotionally, with your time, with your effort, with your energy, with your training, and all of that stuff. Now, that being said, one of the things that we have done, particularly in our franchise business, is we have systematized and automated the entire process of hiring people and training people, onboarding employees for our franchisees. So we know that our franchisees want to and need to ascend and escalate out of the business. They want to run a true, legitimate business at scale. And so we've created the systems and the processes that allow them to step in and plug in and do all of that. So the third interview is in person, and we review all of these components. The next step is what we do is what we call a spouse dinner. So the applicant, if they're married, we're gonna go out, myself, my wife, the applicant and their significant other, their spouse. If they're married, we make it a requirement. If they're not married, we can't require it, right? But if they're married, we make it a requirement that we're gonna go out, the four of us, and we're gonna have dinner, because I wanna see how you react outside of the environment of the interview. I wanna get into a restaurant, I want it to be casual, I want us to talk no business. I wanna know what you do on the weekends. I wanna get to know you. And that's where you start to see that. The reason we do the spouse and the spouse dinner is honestly because if you're married to crazy, crazy's coming to work. If you're married to crazy, crazy's coming to work. And I don't want crazy coming to work. And so maybe that sounds really bad. I don't know. But the reality of the whole thing is, like, I'm bringing you into our team, and so I got to understand the whole picture of like what's influencing you and affecting you on a daily basis. And I want to get to know you outside of a work environment, outside of an interview process, because I want us to be a fit. I want you to be a core value fit, a cultural fit, because I hire culture, and culture is what makes the company fun. It's what makes this all worthwhile. And so at the dinner, my wife and I have this little trick. We get about 3/4 of the way through the dinner, and if my wife is feeling it, now she's very intuitive, she's very smart. I call her, she does not work in the business on a day-to-day basis. She hasn't since my oldest daughter was born almost 20 years ago. But my wife, we call her the VP of Human Resources because she's very intuitive with people. She's a high S. She's an introverted people person. She's a supporter role, so she's very intuitive. And 3/4 of the way through the dinner, she'll kick me in the shins if she thinks that this is a person that I should extend an offer to. Now, by the time we get to the dinner, I feel like, okay, this person standing alone, I would go ahead and extend an offer to them. The spousal dinner is, let's get to know the rest of the story, and let's let my wife use her intuition and read people as well. So if I get a kick in the shin, I know I can extend an offer. If I don't get a kick in the shin, we end the dinner and we do a follow-up. That's our process. Then we make a job offer, or we don't. And this is our hiring process to put the right people on the bus. Now, we haven't talked fully about compensation plans and how you can hire and compensate salespeople, and how you motivate salespeople, and how you do all of these various different things, which is a really fun conversation, and we'll do that. This brings us to the end of the hiring process. This is how we do it. Part 1, part 2. This is how you scale your business.